Buckle up as we unravel the planet's wildest geography, where Kyrgyzstan's hidden valleys, Italy's landlocked enclaves, and Senegal's sun-scorched borders collide with mind-bending atolls, desert extremes, and ancient mountain passes that'll rewrite your map. From Uzbekistan's labyrinthine frontiers to Iran's jagged skylines, prepare for a globe-trotting thrill ride where every corner of Earth defies logic. Trust us, your world map will never look the same. What if you could walk on ice 14,000 feet above sea level? At 14,200 feet, this frozen pathway in Central Asia defies imagination and survival. The air is so thin, each breath feels like fire. The 2-mile ice corridor stretches across a frozen abyss, where temperatures never rise above -22 degrees Fahrenheit, -30 degrees Celsius, even in summer. But the real marvel? Ice so thick it carves 300-foot deep caves, glowing electric blue from compressed millennia of snow. These caves form as ancient snow gets squeezed for centuries, yet scientists still can't fully explain their perfect spiral shapes. Would you dare walk this frozen labyrinth where each step echoes through 10,000 years of frozen time? Did you know a country exists entirely inside another? Let's shrink the map. San Marino covers just 61 square kilometers, smaller than New York's Central Park, which is 341 square kilometers. This tiny republic has existed since 301 AD, over 1,700 years of uninterrupted independence. Its 39 kilometers border with Italy is the only boundary on Earth. No other countries touch it. San Marino is the only country completely enclosed by a single nation, with absolutely no other neighbors. How does a nation survive for 1,700 years without a single additional neighbor? Did you know Russia and Norway share a 198-mile Arctic border, yet only 12 people live there? This remote border slices through frozen wilderness where winter temperatures plunge to -30 degrees Celsius, colder than a typical household freezer. Only 12 residents call this entire region home. 99% of the area is uninhabited, more empty than Antarctica's dry valleys. The Pechenga River flows freely between the nations, its icy waters marking the boundary for centuries. Here's the twist: this is the only land border between Arctic nations, all others are maritime disputes or frozen coastlines. A geopolitical oddity where more polar bears live than people. What will climate change do to this fragile frontier? What if your entire country existed on a 10-mile wide thread of land, surrounded by another nation? The Gambia's capital, Banjul, sits on a 10-mile long coastal strip, completely encircled by Senegal on 3 sides. Only 30 miles of Atlantic coastline break the 99% landlocked reality. This sliver defines the country's entire ocean access. A single 1.2-mile bridge connects the mainland to the island enclave. If it ever closes, the Gambia would vanish from the map's borders. How does a nation survive as geography's ultimate tightrope walker? The answer lies in that fragile ribbon of concrete. What if I told you an entire nation sits just 1.5 meters above rising seas? The Maldives holds the world record for lowest average elevation, just 1.5 meters above sea level, with 80% of its islands under 1 meter high. This archipelago of 1,190 islands is cradled by 90,000 square kilometers of ocean, yet its highest natural point is only 2.4 meters lower than most city sidewalks. To outsmart sinking, engineers are building artificial islands by dredging sand from the ocean floor, creating land where none existed. And yet, from this fragile foundation, they're constructing a future, one where islands rise not from nature, but human ingenuity. What if your country had no ocean access? And all your neighbors do too? Uzbekistan is the world's only double landlocked country, surrounded by 6 nations, none offering ocean access. 40% of its 447,400 square kilometers is the Kızılkum Desert, the 3rd largest in the world, hotter than most planets. To reach the nearest ocean, you'd cross 4 countries and travel 2,500 kilometers, longer than the Amazon River's width. Imagine surviving 6 border crossings just to catch your first ocean wave. And scientists still can't explain why it's this extreme. What if I told you this desert is so extreme, it's called the Ship of the Desert? This 1.7 million square kilometer wasteland covers a third of Niger, bigger than Texas, California, and Montana combined. Temperatures here swing 60 degrees Celsius between scorching days and freezing nights, a greater range than any other desert on Earth. The Dune of the Dead stretches 1,200 meters long, shifting 20 meters annually as if the desert itself is breathing. Its name means the desert in the desert, a place so isolated, early explorers needed camels, their ships, to survive 3-day crossings. And scientists still can't explain why this dune field remains perfectly aligned for centuries, despite the chaos around it. Did you know a tiny Iranian village is completely surrounded by Iraq? Let's explore this geographic oddity. Zangishe covers just 1.5 square kilometers, about the size of 15 football fields, yet it's isolated by 20 kilometers of foreign territory. Residents must walk through Iraq to reach Iran's border, a 12-kilometer journey across foreign soil. Only 50 people live here, cut off from their own country by geopolitical lines on a map. To visit family in Iran, villagers need Iraqi visas, and sometimes wait weeks for permission. This tiny island of Iran raises questions. What happens when borders erase geography? A place where crossing your own country's border requires permission from another nation. What if a country stretched from the tropics to Antarctica? That's Chile, a nation longer than any other on Earth. Chile spans 4,350 kilometers, longer than the distance from New York to London. Imagine driving non-stop for 47 hours straight. In the north, the Atacama Desert sees less than 1 millimeter of rain per year, drier than Mars. Some areas haven't rained in centuries. Meanwhile, southern Tierra del Fuego's Southern Cross Mountains reach 2,400 meters with Arctic-like frost and gales. The southernmost region experiences 18-hour polar nights in winter, while the north basks in 2,000+ hours of scorching sunlight yearly. One country. 2 planets. What other extremes hide within Chile's impossible length?
What if I told you a gorge in Nepal is 16 times deeper than the Grand Canyon? The Kali Gandaki plunges 6,000 meters, nearly twice as deep as the Mariana Trench surface to floor drop. Carved between 2 8,000-meter giants, Annapurna at 8,091 meters and Dhaulagiri at 8,167 meters. Temperatures here swing from -30 degrees Celsius winter freezes to 35 degrees Celsius summer heat within just 200 kilometers. This earth-shattering chasm sits directly above the India-Eurasia tectonic collision zone. Over 200 earthquakes shake it yearly. And scientists still can't predict when the next tremor will reshape this living monument to Earth's fury. What if a 15-kilometer strip of land held the fate of Asia's most dangerous borders? This razor-thin region sits above 4,000 meters elevation, where 10 glaciers larger than 10 square kilometers carve through the Hindu Kush Mountains. Only 10,000 people inhabit this remote zone, which borders 4 Pakistani provinces and 1 Chinese region, yet no roads connected to the outside world. Here's the twist. This buffer zone keeps Pakistan and China from sharing a direct border, a geopolitical strategy from the 19th century Great Game. A chess move from 180 years ago still shapes the world. What other secrets hide in Earth's most extreme borders? What if a 1,800-acre desert existed, claimed by 2 nations, but no one lives there? Sitting between Egypt and Sudan, it's 100 miles from the nearest town in either country, a true geographic no man's land. Temperatures here hit 122 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, making it one of the most uninhabitable places on Earth. The border dispute dates back to a 1899 British colonial treaty, where a simple typo created this accidental wasteland. While Atoll is ignored, the nearby Hollerud Triangle has military bases and oil drills, proving geography matters more than geography here. A place so worthless yet so valuable, right next door. What would you do with a desert no one wants? What if India's only coastal enclave was swallowed by Gujarat? This 23 square mile dot has been landlocked by Gujarat on 3 sides since 1961. Portuguese colonizers held it for 451 years, longer than any colony in history. Dio Fort's 300-foot cliff overlooks the Arabian Sea, its lighthouse hides a dark secret. Rebels were locked in pitch-black cells with no windows. This lighthouse was a prison. And today, it's Asia's last surviving Portuguese-era lighthouse prison hybrid. Who knew a tiny dock could hold 451 years of secrets? What if a desert could melt steel? In Iran, the sand gets so hot it could bake a pizza in seconds. Dashti Lut holds the world record for hottest surface temperature, 158 degrees Fahrenheit in 2005, 40 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than a pizza oven. Winds have carved 130-foot tall sand sculptures that stretch 1,600 feet, longer than for football fields. This 20,000 square mile desert covers more land than New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio combined. 75 miles per hour winds constantly reshape the landscape, moving entire desert waves 30 feet every year. And scientists still can't predict every twist this desert will throw next. What if a 12 square mile rock fortress was surrounded by enemies on all sides? This jagged 5,482-foot peak in the UAE desert is Oman's ultimate geographic oddity. As Oman's only land exclave in the UAE, this black basalt mountain touches for different emirates simultaneously along its 25-mile border. The only supply route is a 12-mile desert road through UAE territory, making this fortress one of the world's most isolated military strongholds. Despite being completely encircled, Oman maintains a full-time military presence here with over 300 soldiers in a mountaintop garrison. How do they resupply a fortress surrounded by 4 different nations? The answer lies in one of the world's